So now we are going to learn about Git init. So guys, here you can see that first of all, what is Git init? So Git init is a command used in the Git version control system to initialize a new Git repository in a directory. When you run the Git init command in the directory, Git creates a new subdirectory named as .git, which is actually a directory which contains all the information about your repository. All the versions and the commits, all the important things are actually inside the .git folder. Okay, so the .git directory is where Git stores all the information and metadata about the repository, including version history, configuration settings, and references to commits, branches, and tags. So you are going to learn about all these things later on, like what's exactly a commit, what's version history, and what are branches and what are tags. But right now just understand that when we talk about Git init, we are just saying that suppose you have some kind of project. Okay, so you can just say that I'm gonna draw a project here. Okay, suppose this is my project and I'm just gonna write something here inside. So I'll just say that this is my project one, project1, and it suppose is containing a project of an e-commerce platform. Okay, so what I can do is I can just simply create a repository of this inside Git. Okay, so I'm just gonna create a Git repository. So here guys, I can just say that this is basically a Git repository. So I'm just going to say that it's a Git repo. To create this Git repo, it's like a project's version. Okay, so suppose in future I'm gonna make any change to this project one, the updates are gonna be passed to the Git repository. Okay, so Git repository is gonna track the record of all the versions, all the changes made throughout, so that if in case you make any problem, so we can revert back to the older version. So Git repository would keep track. Suppose today I made a change, okay, and I just pushed it to the Git repository. Okay, I just passed it to the Git repository. That means we made a commit. Okay, commit means I just finalized that change and then I made a commit. I commit that this change is good. Okay, so I'm gonna make a commit. Similarly, tomorrow we're gonna make a commit. After 10 years, we're gonna make a commit. But after 10 years, I made some mistake and I wanna go back to code of 5 years back code. Okay, so I can easily go to there with the help of Git repository, because Git repository is gonna track all the changes as well as all the dates or exact time who made the change, when was the change made. Okay, so that's why we have a Git repository. Okay, so in case suppose someone deleted this project from their computer, but if they have the Git repository, so they can easily recover things from there. Okay, so right now you can assume that we are talking about the local Git repository, so that means only your computer would be having the repository. So in this case, if you delete things, so you would be missing out everything. But suppose your repository is shared between some people, okay, so you can recover it from other people. Okay, so it's very beneficial. And if you connect it to GitHub, so GitHub would act as a cloud service. We're gonna see that later on. Right now just understand that a Git repository contains your project. Okay, so let's try to initialize a repository using this. So you can assume guys, so now guys, let's try to create a Git repository. So I'm gonna create a new folder here. Suppose I'm just gonna name it as my project1. Okay, so I'm just gonna name it as my project1. Okay, I'm just gonna create this folder here. Suppose we are gonna open this with VS Code. Okay, and I'm gonna create an index.html file, index.html. Okay, and here we're gonna write some HTML code. I'm just gonna say that we have h1 tag, and I'm gonna say that my website. So you can see that I'm trying to create a project. This is normal HTML project, but you can store anything. You can store CSS files, you can store React.js files, you can store Node.js backend, anything. Okay, it's in similar way. So right now I'm just creating a temporary project here. Okay, so here I'm just gonna create one style.css. So style.css, here you're gonna have your CSS. Suppose, so I'm just gonna say that star, I can just write some CSS here. Suppose m0 p0. Similar guys, you can have a JavaScript also, script.js, and here I can just write some JavaScript code later. Okay, but right now you can see that yeah, this is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and I'm gonna push it to my Git repository. Okay, so for that, first of all, we need to create a Git repository. So for creating a Git repository, that means I'm gonna create a Git repository for this specific project. You can create endless Git repositories for each project. Okay, for this project, I'm gonna create a Git repository. So I'll just go to terminal. Okay, you can do this with Git bash also, but I'm gonna do it here only because it's easy. You can see that yeah, this project is here, and make sure you have watched my previous video so you'll understand what is Git bash and different things. Okay, so now I've opened my terminal. First of all, if I just check git dash v, if I type this, you can see I got the version. That means everything is fine. You can just run git commands here also. Okay, so first of all guys, I'm just gonna say git init. Once I write this, you can see as soon as I write this, you can see that if I just show you the project folder, you can see we have a .git folder. What it contains, it actually contains all the specific information. Suppose for example, right now what I'll do is, right now if I make a change and I make a commit, I'll explain the commit command later on, but if I make a commit, so this .git file is gonna track all the changes, gonna store all the changes, so that if in future I want to revert to some specific version, some older version, so I can easily go there. Okay, so this is very beneficial and this is very important. Never delete this file. Okay, never delete this file. So if you have a group of people who have this file, that's fine, but if you only have a local repository, this folder is very important. Okay, so never delete this folder. .git folder contains all the specific information, right? You can see, yeah, some information here, right? So guys, I hope you understood the basic usage of git init command, which actually initializes a git repository. So it would help you a lot in future to use GitHub. Take reference from here, and right now after this guys, we're gonna understand some different commands which we have. So now guys, we are going to understand about the git clone command. So basically this is a very popular command and it is actually used to clone a repository. So what we actually do with this command is, for example, let me just show you my GitHub account. github.com/viraj014. Here you can see that guys, this is my GitHub profile. You can check out my profile. If you want to follow me, you can follow me here, and the source code of all the previous modules also is available here. So I'll just go to repositories, and here you can see that we have Mern tutorials. Okay, so this is gonna be very helpful if you are trying to code with me. Okay, so you can see this is complete source code. Okay, so if I just click on this code and if I just click on this copy URL to clipboard. Okay, so now let's see what happens. Okay, for example, in this specific, I'm just gonna create one specific temporary folder here just for demo. Okay, so temp folder. Inside this, I'm gonna clone a git repository. Cloning a repository simply means bringing all these folders and code to your local machine. That's it. So let's try to do this. So for that command, we simply do one thing. Okay, so it actually creates a copy of the repository. So I would just open it with VS Code or anything you want. You can just open it with git bash also. So I'm gonna open it with git bash for now. So you can see this is it. Now I'm just gonna type git clone, and then guys, we need to paste that link. Okay, so if I just paste it, you can see that now Mern tutorials is being cloned completely into my local machine, which creates a copy of the existing git repository. It essentially duplicates an existing repository along with all its history, branches and commits. Okay, so you can see guys that now we have Mern tutorials here. Okay, so yeah, you can just clone any repository, and if someone is sharing code with you, if you want to have it in your local machine, you're gonna use the git clone command. Right, so guys, I hope you understood this part, and that's all about git clone. So now guys, we are going to understand about the git add command. So basically this command is really useful in those cases where you actually want to add changes made to the files in your working directory to the staging area. Okay, so it simply means from the normal repository, you are adding files to the staging area of the repository. Staging area is where you prepare changes before committing them to the repository. Okay, so before finalizing all the changes, we have a staging area. Okay, so first I make all the files to the staging area, then I make a commit to finally create a version of that repository. Let me just explain you with this code. So right now we just created this. Okay, so you can see that we have some files here. Okay, so here you can clearly see we don't need script.js file, it's not of any use, but we need style.css and we need index.html. So here guys, what I'm gonna do is I just created an empty git repository. If I just type git add, and here I just type index.html. okay, so if I type this, you can see now it's added. If I try to add it again, you can see it's again added. Okay, so whenever there is a change, you can just do this to add that. Okay, my website is good. Okay, suppose now I made a change, so I'll again add that file to the staging area. Okay, similarly if I talk about style.css, so again if I just type git add, and I'm just gonna type here style.css, so you can see that style.css is also added to the staging area. Now these two files are added, script.js is not added. Okay, so suppose if you want to add two files together or multiple files together, you just need to write it just like that, index.html style.css. So you can see two files are added together. Okay, so all these two files are actually added to the staging area. That's it. So whenever you make a change, you're first of all gonna you are first of all going to add the file to the staging area. Then after that we're gonna make the final commit. Okay, so right now guys, we added the file into our staging area, right? So there is one more option here. If suppose you don't want to add these files manually, you can see I'm writing things names here manually. What I can actually do is I can just say that, suppose for example, first thing is, if you want to add a dir directory. Okay, suppose this is the directory, it has some files. Okay, it has fl1.txt. Okay, so you can see that I want to add all the files of this directory. So what I can do is, here I can just type git add and the directory name dir1. Okay, slash. So I'm just saying add all the files inside this to my git repository. That's it. Okay, so now after this, one more thing which you can do with git add is, suppose I want to add all the things. Okay, I want to add all the things to the staging area. That means everything is important here. So I'm just gonna say that git add dot. Okay, that's it. So you can see all the files or folders would be added to the staging area. Okay, so once after you add all the things to the staging area, then you are ready to commit those changes using the git commit command. Okay, so I hope you understood the basic usage of git add command. In the next part we are going to understand the git commit command.